almost everyone seems to have ADHD as a woman. I'm like, really? Or is it just that you're dealing with 1,000 things? We've created a new normal of high cortisol being our new normal. I was depleted every night. I was exhausted in the middle of the day. I was dealing with skin rashes that every amazing dermatologist was misdiagnosing as poison ivy. You've forgotten yourself, your soul, your inner being.
Was there something that made the volume turn up loud enough for you to listen?
You know,
welcome to Women Who Lead. This is the podcast that I wish I'd had when I was a woman in leadership just starting out. So my friends, I have done you a big favor. I have selected some of the most inspiring women in leadership, and I've assembled them in a series of conversations where they're going to share their tips, tricks, frameworks, stories, everything to support you to bloom into the next season of your career. Welcome back to Women Who Lead. And I am so thrilled to be joined today by the brilliant Sonal, who I had the very great privilege of meeting in the last year or so, I would say. That's about right, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you were, I believe, the first woman to serve as Chief Medical Affairs Officer at Pfizer. Is that correct, Data? You will know better than me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Sonal recently stepped out to create her own business, which is very much grounded in the world of Ayurveda. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to get into all of the meat of all of it. But I like to sort of start these podcasts right in the beginning, in the middle rather, right? And I find a great way to get into the middle is to ask you, what does it mean to be in bloom to you in work and in life?
Well, Ruth, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It's such an honor to be here.
Yeah.
And, you know, to be in bloom just means blossoming for me. I think women have so much potential, and unfortunately, we've lived in systems and structures that create us believing that our worth is aligned with that work and only for a period of time. And to me, bloom is almost like, well, no, there's so much more potential. Step out of it and go do what allows you to create what you need to do for society and for the world and the place we live. And that to me is what I want to empower other women to feel and actually do.
And what you just said there is so relevant because there's nothing quite like a radiant woman, is there?
No.
Like a radiant woman that lights up the world around her just with a radiant human, but a radiant woman in particular, right? And actually your business is called Ojas Vida, right? And can you just tell us what Ojas is? To me, Ojas and the radiance that we're talking about are kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah, actually, I would assume you know Sanskrit because you said that. So Ojas means, it's a Sanskrit word.
Yeah.
And it means vitality, bliss, radiance, like that desire to live, the life force that we have within us.
Yeah.
And Vida means life in Spanish. And the reason I created this name was because I was born in Mexico City, but my heritage is Indian. And I wanted to combine those in what I created because I show up as a very unique individual based on my own genetics, my soul, where it lived, where it resided, my experiences. But ultimately, we want to live a blissful life. We do not want to be stuck in normative misery. And that is where you get that radiance and that power and energy to live your life the way you want.
Right.
You want, not the way others expect of you.
Yeah. And so be real with me here, because the way I learned about life force energy is by having mine very depleted, right? So I know that you have more of and I've studied Ayurveda too, but not to the level that Sonal has, right? So I have some understanding. So we'll have to be careful that we don't nerd out too much for you listeners and that we make sure that you understand it all, right? But, but talk to me about your life force energy. How radiant were you able to be would you say, when you were in those big corporate roles?
Well, that's an excellent question because I believed that I was doing everything I needed to do. I
Yeah.
was checking all the boxes. I
Yeah.
was highly successful. I was at the top of the food chain. I grew through that role and I was extremely happy. Okay. But I was depleted every night. I was
Mm,
exhausted in the middle of the day. I was having restless sleep. I was not getting enough sleep. I was not eating right. I was dealing with skin rashes that every amazing dermatologist was misdiagnosing it as poison ivy when I lived in New York City in a high rise. Like
mm,
there was no connection. And so what I thought was radiant life, energy, and force was really systematic, all those boxes that we check when we believe that this is what I need for success. And you check
mm.
them off, and at the end of the day, you've forgotten yourself, your soul, your inner being. And
Yeah.
it screams at you. It screams at you in that headache, in that skin rash, in that my GI is completely off. What's going on? My
Mm,
digestion's awful. I crave sugar all the time. I need a pick me up at 3 p.m. Those are all signs that we all conveniently just don't listen to because
yeah.
not that we choose not to, we don't realize that that's our inner body speaking and sending us
Mm,
these signals. That is what was happening when I started to recognize, not just in myself, but those high powered women around me getting inflammatory diseases, getting diagnosed with almost everyone seems to have ADHD as a woman. I'm like, really? Or is it just that you're dealing with 1,000 things? We're misdiagnosing them. And then cancer.
mm.
Why are we getting not just the primary, but the secondary cancer?
Yeah.
Because we've ignored all the signals over the decade before, believing that we had life force energy when we quite didn't. It was suppressed.
Yeah, and something that's certainly in my field at the moment quite a lot because it's being recategorized, but things like endometriosis, right? Like these things that are occurring for women that we just accept as a right. So like, oh, there's something wrong with me because my hair's falling out. There's
Yeah.
something wrong with me because there's something on my skin rather than actually there's something wrong with my environment. And is this environment fertile soil for me or not? Because the answer is not always leave, is it too, right? The answer sometimes is actually, if my boundaries, if I was able to hold them differently, if I was able to operate slightly differently, I may actually graduate to the next level of the computer game and thrive in this environment, give other people the permission to do that too. But I guess we have to discern whether that's going to be the place. And that doesn't just mean workplace either, gang, to anyone listening. It might be relationship. I mean, like, oh my gosh, the glow up is so real. Like, I left my last husband and I actually happened to host an event a month, 2 months before I left, or maybe it was a month before I left, and an event 2 months after I left, right? So this was only like 3 months. 3 months. I look like a different woman. And the woman in the picture, if you didn't know better, she was smiling. She looked okay. Her face was puffy. Her hair
Mhm.
was falling out. Her skin was bloated. The woman that stepped forward when the cortisol levels started to get less in my body, like it's completely different. So I guess my question then for you, my darling, is was there something that made the volume turn up loud enough for you to listen? Or was it just kind of a like divine intervention? Or, like what kind of made you be where you are?
You know, I love that you brought in divine intervention because I absolutely believe we have divine intervention. Every one of us does. We
Yeah.
just choose not to listen. And for me,
Yeah.
right?
Wait a minute.
We see
You're like,
that
not that intervention though. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I want to, I'm show me, but don't show me that.
exactly. Now, I'll tell you, I was I was doing my role, but the question became everything else around it. that was no longer fitting in, and at that moment when I start to get skin rashes, and you're right, the bloatedness, the puffiness, the inflammation, all of that was surfacing. And I went doctor after doctor. The derm was the last one, but trust me, I went to primary care. They sent me to the allergist. The allergist said, no, back to primary care, then to derm, then back to primary care. Because Western medicine is fragmented and segmented. That's how it is. It is always meant to be the specialists decide what to do. They may not talk to the primary care. I got stuck in the system I grew up in. And
Yeah.
frustrated me when I got the steroids, when I was prescribed steroids, because I well know that there's too many people out there taking steroids thinking it helps them. No, it's immunosuppressing you and prepping you for the next diagnosis you're going to get. You don't
Right.
realize that even low dose steroids are not needed unless you really need them. And doctors don't make that distinction. It is very easy to prescribe. So I chose, that was my choice. No, I'm not
Mm.
accepting this. I started to go on the internet, looking at other alternatives. And that led me to Ayurveda. Well, do you know
Mm.
what's your constitution? Whoa, what's a constitution? Let me
Yeah.
read more into this. So I started reading, figuring out my constitution, did some basic quizzing. And through that, I realized, wait a sec. It's my environment. It's my lifestyle. It's my food. It's my lack
Mm.
of knowledge of what to eat in the summer versus the winter versus spring, fall.
Right.
It's
Right.
my eating the same foods consistently throughout the year and thinking that's fine. Having a lot of jalapeno margaritas when you're a person with fire in the summer, probably not a
Mm.
good idea.
Right.
So I started to implement changes, small changes, because at the end of the day, we live a Western lifestyle.
Yeah.
We're not here to say, hey guys, we're going to bring in some ancient Eastern medicine and completely shift gears. No, no, no.
Right.
That's impossible. But making small changes and learning to meditate. Meditation
Mm.
was powerful because what it did is it brought my cortisol level down
Mm.
because we are so high that we don't even realize we're at that high. We've
No.
created a new normal of high cortisol being our new normal. And
That's
that is,
it. That's it.
as humanity, that's not right. So we wonder why we get all these conditions. It's our cortisol. So when I learned, I did all what I could, my rash disappeared. No
Yeah.
cortisol. Those pills out. I chucked them out.
Yeah.
Then I started meditating. Through my meditation, while I was still leading a high powered role, I came across a fellowship called Integrative Health in Ayurveda in Iowa at the
Mm.
Maharishi International University. And it was a 2-year program. Like, I can do this. It was mostly virtual except for clinic weeks that you go in. And I started pursuing that at the same time. My evenings
Mm.
and weekends became consumed with learning Ayurveda, stemming out of my interest. But the more I learned and applied it to myself, that is when I started to witness what life force, vitality, energy
Mm. Right.
is, feels like.
Yes.
Because you're
Wow.
totally in alignment. And for me, it became, I reached a crossroad where I said, I can keep going in corporate. I'm good at it. I can keep reorganizing every 9 to 12 months, which was starting to be the average. I can keep doing it. But what
Yeah.
am I doing? How am I helping people? Everyone around me is getting sick and they don't even know it. They're going for surgeries when they haven't even tried different things naturally before they go for the surgery, which is a whole systematic way of helping women who are going through menopause.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's the right way, but that's what many people are undergoing. So I decided, no, I'm going to go help everyone one by one or in groups and make Ayurveda a thing, make it
Yeah.
something that people start to embody in their lifestyles,
Yeah.
actually deliver the learnings, the teachings, my own experiences in hopes that people listen and make those small adaptive changes.
Yeah, and I love your medical background also makes it very like it certainly adds an underline, and like we call it a full stop, you would call it a period at the end, like a pow, right? Pow. What I love about Ayurveda is you don't actually need to know a huge amount about it. You don't have to study it. I've done a reasonable amount of study in it. And obviously Sonal has done a full program in it, but you don't even need to go that far, because once you understand just a tiny bit more about what your constitution is, then you literally go. So, and I'm going to try and make this make sense. We'll try and make it make sense in a really easy way together, right? Like, and just dive into the woo to the woo with us just for a minute, because you'll be like, what are they talking about? They're talking about elements. I know we're talking about elements, but it makes sense. When you understand it, it makes sense. We each have there are 5 great elements according to Ayurveda, and we each have a blend of the 5 in us. And that makes up our unique constitution. And I'm going to let Sonal take this a little bit deeper and further. But once you know that you're high in something or low in something, you basically really simply figure out how to balance yourself more. So I'm high in, I don't need to tell Sonal, I'm high in air and fire, right? Like, she already knows because she can already tell. She's met me before. She knows who I am. So knowing that about myself, it means that I don't naturally have so much of earth and water in me. So I have to consciously cultivate almost like a mud-like quality in my life to make me whole. That means eating warm and nourishing and grounding foods. That means warm baths. I have a bath every single day, right? Like even in the summer, because of how airy I can be. And so I'm going to let you pick it up here, but just knowing those tiny little things means that when Ruth can feel she's scattered and a bit up in the air up here, she knows that she has to go and bring her body down to the earth.
Yeah. And I love that you talk about water that allows you to do that. A bath, a shower really helps to ground, but even sitting in grass, barefoot in grass, sitting under a tree, all of these are grounding techniques, meditation to bring
lie on the
you
floor
down.
in your apartment if it's all you got. It
Yeah.
connects to the earth somewhere, baby.
Yeah. You know, we all have in New York, there's a lot of wood flooring. And
Yeah.
it's amazing because you've got wood in your home.
Yes,
Lie
lie on
down
it.
when you're connecting to the natural element of Mother Earth. And
Yeah.
I love how you described it. It is beautiful. You know, one of the things that I work with my clients is, yes, I help them figure out, are you air, water, fire, earth, even space? Like, how are these elements? These are the 5 elements. How are they interconnected with you? What were you born with? Who are you at baseline? That is very important, because what ends up happening is that over our journeys in life and during different experiences, you're fluctuating. You're never just staying. We're creatures that continue to move. So you're not always going to stay exactly the way you were born. Having said that, that is your baseline. And if you're going through something, you are off balance. And I'm able to help you identify what is driving that off balance element with you. Like maybe right now you're going through a lot of stress, there's fire in you, but you are someone that has a lot of earth. So that fire is really not aligning with your constitution. And it starts to manifest in ways where you have a problem within you. Usually it starts with the GI or the skin. Those are 2 big organ systems that our body loves to communicate through. And that's how you can identify what's your imbalance. And then guess what? You can bridge back to get balance. And sometimes you need Western medicine to help you, but it also means that you can learn how to then restore yourself so that you no longer need the Western medicine. And I think Western medicine's powerful. We are so lucky to be living in this era where we have breakthrough medicines that are helping with longevity. They're helping treat cancer. They're helping give vaccines to those who need it in areas of the world that they do. It's beautiful. But there's a lot of other things that we don't need until we have tried to inner restore ourselves. And that's why I believe that the two in balance is where the power of healing is, where you can combine the Western medicine and the Ayurveda, bridge them together and say, for this, I need this, for this, I need that. Ultimately, you may not need anything because you have learned how to restore your balance and continue with those restorative techniques every day. Like you said, I take a bath every day. You know the day you don't take a bath, how you're going to feel, what your sleep would look like because you've been in bed all day. You learn that about yourself and you listen to those body cues. That's very important.
That's it. And learning the rhythm of you, right? Like, so knowing that I have to wake up and be with myself. Otherwise, I will leave myself behind for the entire day, right? So I have to wake up and be with myself. There's no
Yeah.
choice, right?
And you know what? I'm going to take a step back with that statement. And I say, everybody, this is not even Ayurveda at this point. Every single human being needs to start to wake up and be with themselves.
And be with themselves.
Please,
You're so right.
please divorce yourself from your phones by your bedside.
Yeah.
Them out of your bedroom. They do not belong there. They're disrupting your sleep. The blue light is there at 3 a.m. when you wake up tired but wired. It's your phone. Keep your phone out. Wake up in the morning. Take 3 deep breaths. Give gratitude for being alive and be within you. Before you react to the world of calendars and emails from your boss, how about you just spend the next 30 minutes in silence with you? You. If everyone did that, that's the only thing. If you all just did that,
Yeah.
you would be centered for the rest of the day. You will not lash out at anyone. You will not say yes to the commitment that is a screaming no in your body that depletes you for the rest of the week. These are the moments when you can really center, and the morning is the most beautiful time to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that so much. And so, like, looking at the world as it exists right now, right? Like, we spoke about how radiant women can be, and men, but women in particular. But we also see the level of depletion in women right now, operating for maybe years in the kind of functional freeze that you're talking about, right? Like, we are so normalized in the living from cortisol. That was so normal for me. I had no idea that something else was going on, right? But of course, I loved some things about what that did because it made me work very hard. It made me successful in the sense of like working my way in my career and determined, and that energy pushed me on. But do you think, like, what will it take for us to now co-create a world that's not full of over-functioning women, right? That actually sees women, because lots of us are depleted absolutely in the world, but women are far more depleted than, you see men who are still rested and not carrying their family at the same time. You know what I mean? But whereas I feel like we see less examples of that. I'm not saying it's perfect for men. I'm just saying we see less examples of that in women.
Yeah, I have so much to say on this. So I'm going to start with, from an Ayurveda perspective, women and men, all humans are going through a change while they're in their growth in their 20s, 30s, 40s. We're in a constitution called Pitta, and I'm not going to bring in Sanskrit words, but it's the fire element, that stage of your life. And when there's fire, what are you doing? You're going. You're burning yourself, and you're successful. You get the career, the family, the kids, the car, the house, the everything, the community. All that is building with the fire. But what happens in the 40s and 50s is that you start to go into a vata phase, which is more airy. And you're losing the pitta, you're losing the fire, and you're going into air. This happens to every human. Every human goes through this. The problem is when you are going through this transition and you're pushing against the natural rhythm of life and the natural alignment of elements with your body, that is when problems arise. So this notion of midlife, oh my God, midlife, I'm declining. No, you're simply transitioning from fire to air. And therefore, you need to adapt how you are working through. You need more rest in the evening. You need break at 3 to 3:30, not a nap. Maybe that's what you need, but not a nap, not a coffee. Maybe just closing your eyes and being quiet. Maybe just meditating. Maybe grounding in the grass. Those are such powerful techniques to get you through the day in that stage that is a transition. It's a powerful transition. Now, women, unlike men, also have something else happening, which is estrogen, progesterone's declining, our hormones are changing. They're changing differently for men. That is where the difference arises. And this is where women need to start honoring their body and understanding that with this decline, if I keep pushing forward, I am going to get to a point where I'm going to need to be medicated or have surgery because I am pushing my entire body out of alignment with the cycles of nature. And we are creatures of nature. The other thing that's happening with women is when we think about our ancestors, our grandparents, our grandmothers didn't necessarily work. Our mothers were the one generation that started getting into the workforce. You had teachers, you had nurses more commonly, or some other roles, but these were traditionally the roles of the women who started to enter the workforce. When I are that next generation of those women,
Right.
we are the ones who rose the ranks. We went into powerful leadership roles. We became the doctors, the CMOs, the CEOs, the see everything roles. We were raised that way. We were raised to be women who can do whatever you want. But the one thing that didn't go away is that we still had to take care of our home. We still had to take care of our kids. There are a lot of men and women living and helping each other in the family, but let's be honest, it's not 50-50. Women are still carrying the workload. And then you have the aging parents and that commitment around this age when we are in an airy phase. A lot of it is coming. There's a lot of hats that we're wearing, and we truly believe that we have to do it all every single day. I would say, spend your weekends assessing what you really can do for the next week, and then spend that morning time to say, I don't have the energy I had yesterday. So of these 10 things, I'm committing to these 6. The other 4, move them forward. That is you honoring your energy for the day, the phase of life you're in, and really recognizing that you don't have to do it all. And maybe you start delegating what you can.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And I love the rich tapestry that you wove for us there, because you're right, like that, the pitta, the fiery time of life is always going to be there, right? And the vata time of life, the airy time of life where everything is thinning out and getting like that's going to come. The part that I think might be a useful layer on there too, a little sprinkle, is that with all of these great elements, there are assets and there are liabilities. So if we're looking at the evolution of woman, and maybe we are the generation where we didn't get to live that version. We got the burnout UTF version of C-suite leadership.
Lovely.
Okay. But if we think about younger women stepping up into those roles, if they've learned how to harness that life force energy so it turns it to ojas, that beautiful glow of radiance, and not the fire of depletion. Do you see, gang, in what we're layering here? The elements are always going to be elementing, right? And it's like there's an expression of that element. It's beautiful. I mean, the way I describe it with fire, Sonal, and maybe you'll layer something on this too, is when I talk about the kind of fire that we want, I speak to embers, right? Versus we don't want this fire that spits and burns people and burns us.
Yeah.
But if we can then stoke that fire in the right way to turn it into embers, think about it. Embers warm us.
Yeah.
And those hot rocks, we can sit around them and not be in danger. But if you touch the ember, you get burnt. So I think it's a great analogy for women. It's like, if we can be embers, radiant, people want to come closer, but you cross a boundary and you're going to burn your hand.
I think about a lot of leadership styles, and there are some women in leadership roles that are burning others. And it's exactly what you're describing. They don't need to be that way, but they choose to be that way because they're not able to soften themselves and still be a powerful leader. And what I think is going to happen in this future generation, and we are helping that future generation.
We're here as big sisters. We're rolling up our sleeves. Come on, let's go.
Let's go. We know what didn't work. We did it. We know what didn't work.
Yeah.
But there's another element. In order for us to get to these roles, let's be honest, we had to suppress feminine energy and allow the masculine within us to rise up. We imbalanced ourselves from that moment. This isn't even now about Ayurveda. It's simply about everybody has masculine and feminine energy within them. And when it's in balance, it's beautiful. You flow, you Ojas bliss. But when it's out of balance and you're pure masculine and you're operational and you're dictative and you don't even think about the soft elements of you, we've been taught in the corporate world to not be soft. If a woman's soft, there's a label for that.
Exactly.
But the truth is that the best leaders bring in the softness and the feminine with the masculine. When that's in balance, you are a powerful leader. And watch out, because our future generation is going to bring that up. Not just men. Not just women. Men who are also very masculine and they're powerful leaders driving on ego are now going to bring up their feminine energy within them and create a much more cohesive leadership and be able to lead people in a much better way. And that's what humanity needs.
It's what we need.
Corporate level, political level, we can talk about every level. But I believe, and you also have to believe it. And if enough people believe it, it'll happen. You've got to believe that that's the future. And I hope that our future generation balances their energies and balances themselves to be their authentic version and not to change because of the expectations of the systems and structures that are going to fall. They are falling.
Right. Exactly. And I love it so much what you've just said, because literally the sort of, don't get me wrong, there's the real world vision for my business, but my soul vision is masculine and feminine energy are respected and allowed equally, right? That's it.
Exactly.
Because right now, what we've done by all becoming so masculine dominant is we've created a ridiculously masculine dominant world that only recognizes that as power, right? And whereas there's this quiet uprising of feminine energy, I hosted a workshop for a group of male leaders recently, and the qualities that they gave for a successful leader were almost all qualities of the feminine, right? Qualities of the feminine. So, collaboration, all these sorts of things, realizing that actually when we inspire each other to greatness, that is leading from the feminine, right?
Yes.
And that we know that when humans are with you with their hearts, not just their body, then they will run through. That is where we become superhuman. I love that so much.
And the performance goes beyond. When I led teams, and I had teams of 300, but when I took my entire leadership or my organization and talked about what's our purpose, what are we here for, and people gave stories, men and women alike, that was feminine energy rising in the room. And those powerful stories that were the underlying theme of why you're working in a space like, I won't mention the therapeutic area, but a space that requires so much of giving from you to bring medicines to patients who have no access. That was our purpose. But it was driven by something in their lives that motivate them, that call them to this. That alignment. After that, for the next couple of years, I was not there to hold hand someone to say, you didn't perform, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. everyone collectively knew what they needed to do. And our performance went up significantly, not because I was pushing them to reach milestones, but because they collectively had raised their feminine energy in the room. And they were all working together to that mission. That is what leaders need to be doing, because people want that. People want to
That's
be
it.
seen, heard, felt. And you can do that when you are showing up in balance as a leader. And and not just as a leader, just even in our jobs today, right? When you show up and talk to someone with both masculine and feminine balance, every day that balance is different. Every person you talk to requires a different balance, but you'll feel it. And
Oh,
that
you feel it. You feel it.
is
Yeah.
amazing.
It's amazing. And you're just making me realize how I should have introduced you, actually. So I'm going to outintroduce you with how I should have introduced you. But then I have one final question. So my outintroducing you is Pfizer were one of my biggest clients so far in my business for a lot of the people, the culture work I do around burnout, around sustainability. And Sonal and I met each other. I met Sonal's reputation before I met the woman. And what I mean by that is I kept hearing, I worked with Pfizer a lot. They were a big client for me. So I met multiple people at Pfizer. And what I felt through those people was your Ojas, right? Was the quality of you, right? And that's like to be able to leave that imprint so that when you actually are leaving a place, that the obviously we all know when we leave somewhere that everything carries on and fights another day, but the rupture was felt because of the quality of you. So I just want to honor that in you.
Thank you.
I want to honor that in you. And I want to say, for a final question, what's one thing that you wish that you'd learned sooner if you just had to pick one in your career?
You know, I'm going to answer it with the first thing that came to my mind. I truly believe that I learned every lesson I had to at the time I had to. And I honor that you're always where you're supposed to be to learn the lessons for your soul journey. And that there's no looking back of earlier or later. It happened when it meant to happen.
Yes. Yes. Like literally, I would not get to be the woman that I am today were it not for my last divorce that would look like a mistake. It was not a mistake.
Exactly.
It was fabulous because I get to be her now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We are who we are based on the experiences and the learnings we had to have
That's
to become the power and the magnet and the Ojas we are today.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. So tell us if we want to find you to explore working with you, or how do people do that? Where should they go?
Well, I offer a 30-minute free consult, so you can just book it on my Calendly. Sonal Bhatia.
I'm already opening my Calendly to book my free consult, gang.
I'm on my website is sonalbhatia.com. I'm on Instagram, Sonal Bhatia MD. I'm on LinkedIn, Sonal Bhatia MD. I also write on Substack, and very soon there's going to be a book coming out. It's called
what? Say that again. I was wooing.
It's called The Bridge.
Okay, love it. Love it.
And it's really about integrating ancient wisdom and modern healing to enhance vitality. So
beautiful.
That should be coming out soon. And that's also another way where you can get to learn about my journey and my recommendation.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. It's been such an honor to have this conversation with you, and to be able to share it with others is just such a gift. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I enjoyed our conversation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. If you have liked this episode, please share it with someone who might need to hear some of what we were talking about. Go and check out our other episodes, and then also head over to ourtimetobloom.com to find out more about Bloom and how you can get involved.